So my name's Gary Lloyd. I've been working in games for the past 2 years now. I'm currently doing my final year at the University of Huddersfield, but I've also recently just set up my own sort of small games company after getting our first game published. So we've just signed with the publisher and we've been developing the game since September last year. So I just thought I would talk to you about my journey, I guess, sort of what I've been doing for the past few years. So there's my Twitter, bottom left, if you want to follow me on Twitter. There's my email as well, so just drop me an email if you want to ask any questions or get feedback. I'm more than happy to have a look at your stuff. So I thought I'd start off with talking about what I did at college, so that you can sort of see that I have no games experience before I went to university. I did graphic design, psychology, philosophy, and I had enough UCAS points to do the course that I wanted to do. But I ended up doing sort of an optional 1-year art foundation as well, which was pretty good. I applied for, I think it was Bolton, Huddersfield and Derby on their art courses, and I ended up going with Huddersfield just because they had a sort of few extra things that I thought were quite special, sort of their own in-house developers and things like that. They've got their own studio on site within the university. So I thought it was pretty cool, and they were working on a few titles for Xbox Live Arcade at the time. So it was like, they're sort of releasing games on platforms and getting the sort of student work out there to show, which I thought was quite a nice appeal. Based off some opinions from myself and some others, I don't know what sort of you're all leaning towards, whether it's design, art, illustration, animation. But instead of going for like something with games in it, so sort of like games art or games design, maybe look into doing a dedicated course. So say if you want to be a concept artist or something, and you end up going on like a design course, you may learn bits and bobs of sort of 2D concept arting skills, but maybe a dedicated illustration course might be something more useful to you. The skills are very transferable. I think that's one of the big advantages of working in games, is sort of, the skills are transferable to a lot of different industries. You could be doing sort of 3D art and texturing, rigging, things like that. That could get you a job in film or sort of other forms of entertainment. This kind of caught me off guard, and I didn't realise this for the first few years of my degree. One of my course leaders told me that, because there was a few people were like, we don't get taught much on this course. Where's the teaching? We just sort of get left to our own devices. And he sort of turned around and said, well, yeah, you're reading for a degree. We can only provide the sort of fundamentals of design, of art, of 3D modelling and unwrapping and texturing. You're the ones who've got to sort of push yourselves and be very self-motivated. So yeah, just a bit of advice: if you're going to go on to university to do a games course, sort of dedicate yourself. Think about what you want to do. The earlier you can specialise, the better, I guess, because you can sort of get on that road to really sort of crafting your skill set and really working on it and becoming something that's noticeable within industry for employers. So when I first started in 2009, which was years ago, and I was a bit slimmer, I had more hair. I wanted to be a concept artist when I first started. I really enjoyed drawing and stuff, so I've come from a graphic design background, very little knowledge of 3D. So I was absolutely terrible at it. And I spent more time playing games and going out and partying than I should have been doing work. And I guess that's another sort of thing is to keep in mind. If you're going to go to uni, by all means go out, have a good time, but remember why you're there. Just keep that in the back of your head. You sort of want to work at getting your skills up to scratch, because the bigger advantage you have over the people, that's going to pay off for you in the long run, makes you more noticeable, more employable. So I went on to my second year, started to get into 3D. I was going away more and more from being a concept artist because I sort of saw just the amount of time and just the crazy skills that some people had, and I was sort of like, I'm never going to be that good, which is a really bad mindset to get in. You know, these people who make these amazing works of art, whether it be 3D or 2D or whatever, they have probably got a lot more experience than sort of you guys do, than I do as well. So it's all just about keep making stuff, and if it's crap, just reiterate and keep working on it until, you know, it's decent. You can put it in a portfolio and show it off. And then probably the best thing ever happened to me was that I lost all my work. And yeah, that sounds a bit weird, but yeah, I didn't have my head in the right place at the time. I made a few mistakes, got in with the wrong crowd. So losing my work was kind of a fresh start in a way, and it sort of made me realise, like, what am I doing here? I've pretty much wasted 2 years of my degree, sort of just scraping by, you know, just getting 40% on the module, and not really dedicating myself. And it was really after that happened, and you know, through sort of some very emotional conversations, that I went back and resat my second year and sort of thought, right, okay, this year is catch up. So I pretty much spent my next round of second year catching up to everybody, sort of learning the tools that I was missing. So I really started to get into 3D. Programming, I'm still crap at. I'm so scared of programming. So I'm going to try and get Alex to give me some lessons in it. Yeah, the best thing was that I secured a work placement off the back of it. So I, you know, put in a lot of hard work over my second year. Come out with pretty much straight A's, going from being C's and D's on my first time doing my second year. So it just goes to show that, you know, if you really sort of set your mind to something, you can do some pretty cool stuff. So this is it. I thought that I would show you all my first year work, and it's terrible, and I failed the module, but I thought it'd be good to sort of show you what I did in comparison to what I can do now. Just a bit like, you guys can do this too.
Not this.
So, not this. This is absolutely the worst piece of crap I've ever made. Right, so this is what I did for my first year, and I think the marking criteria was something like we had to have a rigged character, and like it had to be rendered at a certain resolution and all this stuff. But yeah, it was awful. I left this till the last minute, and I failed my module because of this. So if anyone knows the song as well, it's like cookies to you. So yeah, it's pretty grim. So it's called an egg, because that's all I could model was an egg, which is just a cylinder, sphere, soft selected. He finds a load of dead eggs. That's supposed to be some sort of like thing, which I couldn't unwrap. So he could have just gone around them, but he didn't. I don't know what I was thinking. There's a shark on that one with the blue box. There's a picture of Halo somewhere. That kettle disappears.
Reminds me of Toy Commander.
I wanted to put in some sort of Matrix sound here, where he's like slow-mo jumping over the sink, but I didn't have no editing skills, so yeah. So yeah, kettle is gone. It was there. It's gone now. The shadows are white for some reason as well. So this is the other egg that killed the other eggs. So
Is this why you did the sketch, Fabi?
now they fight. They have a fight. Yeah, that was So there we go. That was my first opacity map. So yeah, as you can see, that was pretty terrible. So yeah, when I went back and redid second year, got a bit of a thing on for sort of sci-fi stuff and emissive maps. I kind of love that stuff, and bloom and post-processing, and I went and made. This is just an example of some stuff that I did for my second year. Just sort of learning things. The top two screenshots were from a module that we did called Studio 2, where you had to basically make a game level in Unreal 3. So I did like an interior sort of corridor section, sort of linear corridors, shooting enemies and things like that, going out onto, you know, this pretty cool like terrain with this like missile launching thing. It kind of reminded me of like the Halo with like the Forerunner structures, firing the big blue bolts of blue stuff into the sky. Bottom left was playing around with Endu and sort of texture atlasing, so all that sort of on one texture sheet. It was just seeing how much I could sort of push the sort of texture sheet to make different assets. And then the last one was a bit of ZBrush stuff, sort of creating a Fallout-esque like post-apocalyptic scene thing. So yeah, that was pretty much second year. Oh yeah, and just so you all know, back up everything, because when I lost all my work, I kept one copy of it on the hard drive, and the hard drive just broke. So lesson to everyone, just back up everything if you don't do that already. So yeah, my work placement as part of my degree, like I said, Huddersfield has its own sort of on-site studio called Canalside. They've won a few competitions, got one of the games published on Xbox Live Arcade. I think it's called Yoho Kablamo, which is like some pirate ships shooting at each other. And they did some indie store stuff, so they did some wave shooters and little bits of stuff. Then they went into mostly sort of client-based work. So they did some stuff with the Leeds Armories. They did like a gun viewer. You could sort of like break down the gun and it would do animations and fire and things like that. So when we went in, they were sort of transitioning from sort of making fun games, I guess, to educational games, and it was quite an interesting year. Our biggest client was the West Yorkshire Fire Brigade, and they wanted like a hazard perception simulator. So we basically modelled a fire truck and an environment, and you could sort of drive around, and it had like realistic simulation stuff in there. We later got like the Oculus Rift on it and things like that, and I think they're still sort of working on it at the moment. So yeah, we worked at a dedicated studio, 4 programmers, 4 artists / designers, and it was based in Huddersfield, so it was good, so I didn't have to move anywhere really. The good things about that was it opened up a lot of new opportunities. The directors of the studio, they sort of told us that, you know, Rockstar and Team 17 would come in, and that didn't really happen. I think it happened like once. So I sort of took it upon myself then to start sort of exploring the sort of Yorkshire community and sort of seeing like, okay, what's going on in Yorkshire? Like, let's, you know, I found out that networking is just sort of so useful and handy, and it's just fundamental to games in a way. You know, I'd strongly suggest wherever you end up, if there is a local sort of development community, get involved as early as possible if they accept students. But yeah, the lack of contacts, well, not as many as I wanted, it forced me to establish my own network. So I got out there, I met a lot of new people, and it was paid. I got paid for it, so it was pretty good. The bad thing, I guess, was the lack of creative control. I think we were all we all had our ideas on how this game should be, or other game ideas that we had, and we all sort of ended up doing things in our spare time because work kind of wouldn't allow it. So yeah, that was it for Canalside. But then, as I started to build up this network and this sort of community of contacts, I started to use Twitter a lot. And a sort of mutual friend introduced me to a site called Sketchfab, which is sort of an interactive 3D model viewer. So you can basically upload your 3D model textures to the website, embed it into portfolios. It's really useful. You can sort of turn on wireframes and different material shading types. Pretty much all the stuff that, if you were doing a screenshot-based portfolio, you'd be taking pictures of what your normal map looks like, what your diffuse map looks like, and sort of Sketchfab kind of automates all that for you into one easy to use viewer. So anyway, I started tweeting them, uploading my stuff to the site. I think The Walking Dead had just come out at the time, so I was doing this like hand-painted sort of Walking Dead, Telltale game style, some assets in that style, and it got staff picked and it got shared with. They sort of tweeted it to Telltale, and they were like, "Oh, this is really good." So it was like, for me, sort of getting a tweet from Telltale telling me that my work was good. It was kind of like a, positive reinforcement. It was like really, proper geeked out in a way. I was like, "Oh my God, Telltale games like my stuff." They reached out to me sort of shortly after, asked me if I wanted to get involved with them. So I got involved as the community manager at first. So that was completely different from anything I'd ever done. Like community management. Like what does that even mean? Like I'd never done this before. There are people out there at the moment who dedicate themselves to community management. I'd sort of never done it, and it wasn't necessarily making game assets. It was going out to events and meeting people and sort of evangelizing Sketchfab and doing blog posts and just basically trying to reach out to as many people, other artists, see if you can get them to upload the work to the site. So yeah, I did that for about a year, and then they needed someone full time. So I sort of stepped down as the sort of community manager, and now I'm referred to as their in-house 3D artist, even though they're based in Paris and New York. So that's quite interesting. And a really, really nice thing that they did was when I went to GDC last year, they paid for my Expo Pass, which was pretty awesome of them. So sort of went in and just started talking to people about Sketchfab basically.
What's GDC?
Oh, GDC is the Game Developers Conference. They have one in San Francisco and one in Europe. At the end of my time at Canalside, I sort of built up this sort of network, as I sort of mentioned before, and whilst I was in Canalside, 3 other students from Huddersfield set up their own business, and they were in the first batch of games to get greenlit. Back when Steam Greenlight was a good thing and it wasn't full of crap. And they offered me a job. They sort of, okay, we've just signed on with a publisher. They managed to get a publishing deal after a failed Kickstarter. But it sort of showed that there was definitely interest in this game. They didn't reach their funding target, but it showed to publishers that this game is marketable. It's it's got potential. The Oculus Rift was relatively new at the time, so they sort of wanted to implement that and build a game around VR. It originally started off as a 1-year contract where I did sort of a bit more than that. Again, it was in Huddersfield, a brand new building over the road. And the best thing about this was, the really small development team, 4 of us, including me, and then we sort of outsourced music and voice acting. So it's just the 4 of us in this office, sort of working, 10 till 6 every day, and they're really great guys, awesome friends. It helped me to further get out there, expand my network of contacts, make new friends in industry, and it gave me access to sort of trade shows. So like I said, I went to GDC last year, exhibited at Res and sort of Eurogamer in London. That all sort of comes from these sort of really small development teams, and sort of being able to just networking is just so important. So that's probably one of the biggest things I can probably recommend out of this. So there's some screenshots from the game, just some of the stuff that I've worked on over the past year on the game. It's still in early access at the moment, but it's done really, really well, considering it's like a very narrative driven game. There's a picture of us at Eurogamer, but Ash had a face like a smacked ass, so I had to Photoshop his face. a little bit more happier.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, if he sees this video, he's probably going to kill me. So yeah, during my time at Hypersloth, I got involved with Microsoft as well. So again, keep reiterating this network. Get out there, meet new friends. Meet people in industry. So I'm currently working with Microsoft as a games ambassador. So kind of similar to what I do with Sketchfab, but it's sort of more related to development platforms. So Windows Phone, Windows sort of operating system, and sort of Xbox development as well. Done a few talks, a few demonstrations for them as part of my time as an ambassador, and also given support at events. So I think they had people at Eurogamer London and I went down to develop in Brighton, which is another sort of big industry event. Sort of, Microsoft pretty much covered all the costs, which was just amazing for someone like me. Not much money to get down to develop. So getting involved with sort of these additional things can really sort of lead you somewhere. They can get you to places that you wouldn't be able to go to unless you've got loads of money. Leading on to sort of what I'm doing currently, me and a team of 4 others, we did Ludendare 29. Is it Ludendare?
Yeah.
Ludendare. I don't know how to say it. But it's basically like a game jam. It's like a big game jam, isn't it? Like a global game jam.
Thousands of people get involved, like really worth.
And they do that
I'll talk about
a few times a year. So they have a 24-hour one, which I think is for one-man teams, and then they have a 72-hour one, which is for like teams. So we wanted to basically create a 6 degree of freedom shooter. So sort of like in a gunship, zero gravity, sort of flying around in every direction, inspired by Descent and Forsaken, which sort of are 2 primary. I don't know if any of you have played Descent.
Might be a bit
or
before their time.
Maybe a little bit. We were going for low poly pixel art. Like that was sort of the thing. So like no smoothing groups. It was gonna, we were gonna make this really interesting looking game. So see how far we could push it. Procedurally generated, and we have music and sound. So I will play this was the jam version that we built. So very narrow corridors, sort of there's no up, there's no down, we're just sort of flying everywhere. Got some great sounds, great composer on board. Sort of like killing enemies, picking up power-ups. I think it comes up saying it's 8-bit, it's not 8-bit. So I think someone like slammed us on YouTube for saying it. It's like, it's not 8-bit, bro! So we're with like 5 or 6 different enemy types, like ones that fire missiles, lasers and miniguns. That really, really annoying one that fires red lasers just kills everyone. We implemented Oculus Rift support later on, which was really cool. Sort of like cockpit view of the ship. And the goal at the end of each level was to destroy a reactor, which then put you onto the next procedurally generated level, and the next. And you basically, it was just see how far you could get. So we placed 21st overall in the jam out of about 1,000 entries, which that was really my sort of first game jam experience, and I was like over the moon with 21st. Everyone was like, oh, it's only 21st, but I was like, oh no, that's amazing. So we thought, okay, there might be something in this. There's not many sort of 6 degree of freedom shooters out there, sort of Descent inspired procedure. I thought we had like quite a interesting looking game with some interesting mechanics. So we thought, okay, let's polish up our jam version and make a prototype and pitch it to some publishers. There's a little screenshot of the enemies. All the vehicles were like modular, so you could basically just pull all them apart, and it was like engines and hulls and cockpits, and you just basically just create some sort of Frankenstein monster ship, threw it in the game, see what it looked like. So we did. There's just a few things we did for the prototype. I won't go through them all. And yeah, I created a company last year in September called SigTrap. Me and my partner Luke, my business partner Luke, not my partner Luke. We pitched to Team 17, Devolver Digital, and Mastertronic, and we eventually signed with Mastertronic. We're still doing sort of some pre-production stuff, trying to get a trailer, finalise some branding at the moment, and we're looking to publish on sort of PC consoles. And I thought I'd just show you, we pretty much like had to rewrite the entire game because jam code is bad. Bad. It's just basically just smashing stuff together and making something that works to sort of prove your point. So this is the sort of new version. So it's still going for this low poly, pixel art aesthetic, but we've got like almost like modern shader stuff in there, so like post processing and things like that. So this is basically just showing the different types of environments we've got. So we've got these sort of crystal caves that are going to like emit light. We've got this like research section, this quite industrial type environment. New music.
So how many hours would you estimate you've poured into this one?
Into this one?
Yeah, as in from what you had as the build for the game jam, how many hours has this been on top of that?
Well, going from the jam to the prototype was about a month.
Yep.
And then we started on this version in September. And it's kind of an interesting situation because to try and keep costs as low as possible, we've got people working on the game on and off. So I'm currently part-time, so I do 2-3 days a week doing mostly the art side of things. And then we've got our sort of procedural coder, we've got an audio guy, composer doing music, and we're also on and off during like our predicted development time. So yeah, we've been working on this since October, so it's a good few months. Still need to sort of get something ready for Res, other trade shows coming up, I guess. We really want to sort of show this off, see what the reaction is from people, adapt to feedback and feedback we get. I don't think we're not going down like an early access route as far as I know. I don't think we've decided on anything like that.
Do you want to explain a bit more about the publishers, what a publisher consists of, what their role is?
It's a good idea, actually. So this is why Alex is good to be here, because he reminds me of things. So yeah, the reason why we went down the route of a publisher is because, for one, funding. Like, Luke wanted to make this his full-time job, and he's a pretty smart guy. He's a doctor in physics. And he wanted to sort of go into games development. Don't know why, but he did. So he wanted to make this his full-time job, and this is his baby. And I'm sort of working on the art stuff with him and the design side, and we're sort of working as this, it's primarily like a two-man team, and we have the other guys who sort of come in as like contractors, but they have just as much a say on the game as us. Really, we're sort of really open development with ideas and just making something that we enjoy playing and hopefully other people enjoy playing as well. There's 2 screenshots. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm doing SigTrap, Windows Games Ambassador, still working with Sketchfab, and I'm still doing some stuff with Hypersloth. So I've not like cut any of my ties to these companies. I'm still sort of trying to work with them and just trying to basically, if you can get your name on something like in the credits, it's really good for an employer, shows you've got a bit of experience, and then final year of uni on top of everything. So I think this is like one of the last slides now. I just wanted to say, if you're gonna go and do this and you want to work in games, that has to be you've got to really dedicate yourself to it. If you don't want to work in games, or you're sort of having second thoughts, maybe try out the first year of a uni course, and if it's not working for you, go and do something else, because it's demanding. If you want to do it right and you want to be noticed and you want to sort of get yourself out there, then it's very demanding. The industry is so competitive, but having a network of contacts and being able to give someone a ring and say, have you got any work on? It's a nice fallback plan to have. I've had a few sort of other offers for work, and sort of so busy at the moment that you can't take on any more work. But it's really sort of nice to think if you're in a bit of a pickle, then someone might have some work for you. And I'd say this as well. So get involved with a game development community or like a jam community. If you can, try and stay away from like a gaming society, like where you just go and play games, because is that really a good use of your time? Where you could be making games and sort of making something cool, rather than like playing games. Like you don't really have much time to play games, is what I'm saying. Like if you really sort of get invested into what you want to do, or if you want to get invested in the games industry, you won't really have much time to play games. And if you're not having fun making games, then it's kind of a why are you doing it type thing. Yeah, make sure you have fun. Like if you're not having fun, then what are you doing? Like, the best thing about this is working and doing something you like to do for fun as a living. You know what I mean? You get to like wake up and go, oh, I get to make some cool spaceships today, or I get to make some, I don't know, like a dungeon crawler thing, I don't know, whatever. And network, again, is fundamental. Talk to each other. You don't know where you're all going to be in a few years. If you feel like you've not got the skill set now, invest time over summer before you go to university, learn Max, learn an engine, pick up Unity or Unreal. All this stuff is either really low priced or there's a free version. Invest some time, maybe invest a bit of money into these things, and I promise you it will pay off if you dedicate yourself. And just it's only 3 years of your life, but you come out on the other end with so much skill and experience and have something to show at the end of it. So that's basically it. So yeah, thanks all for listening.